Good evening. Let us enter together as a class, not to argue truth, not to persuade omnipresence to arrive, but to rest where God already is. We are here, as always, for one purpose: the development of spiritual consciousness. Spiritual consciousness is the ability to see that which is invisible, to hear that which is inaudible, to touch that which cannot be grasped by hand or word, and in that beholding, to let the hidden harmony announce itself as health and supply and safety. This is not theory for debating societies. It is our basic work. Therefore, our watchword at the doorway is simple: no words, no will, only presence. You may have believed that you came for instruction, and you will receive instruction, but instruction by silence, not by eloquence. Be still and know that I am God. Those are not poetic syllables. They are practice, curriculum, law. The stillness is the classroom, and God is the teacher. Our part is attendance. We do not come bearing petitions as if heaven were deaf, nor arguments as if truth needed defense. We come to yield. We come to remove the noisy self so that the comforter may make its own introduction. If I go not away the chattering mind, the anxious will, then the comforter cannot come to you. Let it go away. Let it be still. For a moment now, do nothing. Neither reach out nor reach down. Simply acknowledge within the invisible that is here. No words, no will, only presence. Not an effort to get God, but a resting in God. Not an attempt to improve conditions, but a consent to reality. The kingdom of God is within you. We do not send a search party out into the hills. We turn quietly within, and we discover that the hills are already full of God. We must set our expectation properly at the threshold. Healing is not a product of syllables or a triumph of mental argument. Words point. Presence heals. Thoughts can remind. Only realized spirit transforms. I can of mine own self do nothing. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. Let that be the law of our practice. When the works are done, it will be grace doing them. When harmonies appear, it will be because presence was recognized, not because we fashioned a finer statement or tightened our will. Long ago, in a small village by the sea, this is told in the way fishermen tell things, a woman sat each evening on her doorstep, watching the light go out of the water. They say she had a pain that had learned her name. One night, an old man passed and did not ask what was wrong. He sat beside her. He did not speak. He did not try. The gulls circled, the tide turned, and a quiet came that neither of them had ordered. When he rose, he said only, "Peace to you." The story is that the pain forgot her name that night. Whether it happened so or in some other way, hear the parable. Where presence is silently acknowledged, need loses identity. So we embark. We will not begin by mustering strength. Power begins where personal will ends. We will not begin by multiplying phrases. Talk has borne us as far as it can. We will begin by entering the room of no words. Here we are simply witnesses. Here, without declaration or demand, we let being reveal itself as being. Take no thought for your life, not in neglect, but in confidence that life knows itself and shows itself when we cease contending. Let us cross this threshold together. Lay your arguments at the door. Hang your anxieties on no hook, but let them dissolve. Sit, breathe without managing breath. Acknowledge the holy that is here. No words, no will, only presence. From this stillness our class proceeds, and from this stillness the works of grace will be seen. Now let us be clear what we mean when we speak of this silence. It is not a vacancy. It is a fullness without edges. It is not passivity. It is receptivity to the one activity. Spiritual consciousness is the developed capacity to see that which is invisible, to hear that which is inaudible, to know that which cannot be grasped by the senses or captured by language. This faculty does not wait upon microscopes or markets. It beholds reality where appearances parade their headlines. When we speak of it in the language of our path, we call it Christ recognition, the inner awareness of the Father within that doeth the works. I can of mine own self do nothing is not humility alone, it is the method. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works, is not poetry. It is the principle of demonstration. We must distinguish recognition from belief. Hearing truth is good, reading truth is good, repeating truth is good, but none of these by themselves are the healing presence. Be ye doers of the word, and not hearers only. What is the doing? It is not the doing of hands and syllables. It is the act of inner beholding, the consent of awareness to the presence that already is. You may memorize 100 promises, and they will comfort as a song comforts. But when the inner eye opens and beholds God here, now, the promise ceases to be a sentence and becomes a self-announcement. That is the difference between talking about light and having the lamp lit. Consider our Master, not as a figure for worship, but as the exemplar of this faculty. How did Jesus perceive supply where there was none? How did he feed thousands with a few loaves and fishes? By counting the loaves? By consulting the purse? Or by beholding that which is invisible to appetite and arithmetic? He lifted up his eyes and gave thanks the upward gaze of awareness beyond sense testimony, and the hidden sufficiency presented itself. How did he restore sight to eyes that could not see? By arguing with optic nerves? Oh, no. By the capacity to see light where shadow claimed dominion, to know life where decay made its case. How did he still the sea? Not by shouting down wind and water, but by being the silence that wind and water must obey. Why are ye fearful, O ye of little faith? Because the senses were loud, recognition was quiet. He saw what is, not what seems. Do not confuse this with imagination or with positive suggestion. We are not painting finer pictures over poor ones. We are retiring from the picture show and letting the light strike the screen. When thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret. That closet is the inner awareness. That door is the shutting out of sense testimony and mental argument. There, in that secret, the Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. The reward is not a prize. It is the manifestation of what was present all along, health where health already is, supply where the infinite fullness of God never ceased to be. And so, the purpose of our work this week is singular and practical. The development of spiritual consciousness, this Christ recognition as a living faculty, not a theory to admire, not a vocabulary to trade at meetings, but a faculty to be trained like a musician's ear, like a navigator's sense of true north. We will not hasten it with will. We will not delay it with fear. We will sit, we will be still, and we will let Christ announce Christ within. The kingdom of God is within you. We are not trying to bring it from afar. We are learning to notice it at hand. In that noticing, the works are done by grace. In that beholding, The argument ends and reality stands, revealed. This is our foundation. This is our path. Let us proceed. Let us be very plain why we make so much of silence. The habit of the religious mind is to multiply syllables as if God were impressed by volume, to engineer affirmations as if truth were a machine to be started by pulling the right chord. We have used words to correct words, thoughts to chase thoughts, arguments to wrestle arguments. Oh, we have had some results by the law of suggestion, and we have mistook that for spirit. But listen to Scripture. The letter killeth, but the Spirit giveth life. The letter of truth, even the finest theological letter, cannot of itself impart life. Life reveals itself where the letter yields to spirit. Not the statement heals, but the silence in which God is realized. No words, no will, only presence. You will feel the temptation because the mind loves to fix and to explain. Something goes wrong in the body, and instantly the mind gathers its tools, definitions, diagnosis, declarations, and rushes to the scene as if to a fire. Something breaks open in the bank account, and the mind begins to calculate rescue. Something stirs in a relationship, and the mind drafts speeches for midnight delivery. Oh no, not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. Spirit simply is, and being all, requires no assistance from our cleverness. Where Spirit is realized, the fire finds no fuel. The calculation loses its terror. The speech dissolves into peace. Let me ask you, when has an argument ever persuaded fear to go? You have talked to fear all night, and it has only yawned and asked for another pillow. But there have been moments quiet, unarranged, when a hush came down, and without a syllable, your breathing loosened, and you could not even remember what the quarrel was about. That is our evidence. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength, not in the abundance of phrases, not in the shrewdness of metaphysics, but in quietness, presence recognized, in confidence, presence trusted. Words have a righteous place. They are the scaffolding while the house of silence is being built. They are the finger that points to the moon. But if you keep kissing the finger, you will never walk in moonlight. Be grateful for statements that lift the gaze. I and my Father are one. The Father within me doeth the works. And then let even these holy words sink into the heart and be silent until the one they signify utters itself. When the utterance comes, it will not be a sentence. It will be a felt isness, a living peace. Be still. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. That peace is the healer, and it does not arrive by argument. It announces itself when argument is absent. Consider a mother by the bedside of a feverish child. She has learned fine truths, and she begins to repeat them earnestly, faster and firmer, as if the velocity of speech could cool a brow. Weariness meets worry, and both grow louder. At last, love itself is exhausted of syllables, and she lays her cheek against the child's and says nothing at all. In that unworded yielding, she feels a presence that is not her thought nor her fear, and the little one sighs as the fever breaks. Do not call this magic. Call it fidelity to the way God works. The Father in secret rewards openly. The reward is the open evidence of what silence knew God already there. Let us be honest with ourselves. The appetite for fixing is the ego's last pleasure. It wants to be the mechanic of God, the rescuer, the solver. Resist the pleasure kindly. Our power begins where personal will ends. I can of mine own self do nothing. Say it, and then stop saying it and sit long enough to mean it. In that consent, presence takes over the premises we had been trying to manage. And you will know it not because you have constructed a theory, but because the air in the room changes. There is a softening without cause, a rightness without reason. Fear, which required paragraphs to sustain itself, falls asleep without being dismissed. This is not neglect. This is obedience to reality. So, in our practice, let us allow words to perform their only rightful service, to bring us to the door and then to step aside. Let the mind bow to the invisible and keep its bow. There, in the unforced hush, we are met. There the comforter does what comforters do, not by explanation, but by presence. Remember our refrain, not as a slogan, but as a doorway you actually enter. No words, no will, only presence. And in that, the works are done by grace. Now, having stood together at the door of silence, we must be frank about the way we have walked to this doorway. There was a time, and some of you remember it well, when you could send a telegram at midnight to Kansas City or place a long-distance call to a practitioner and feel the sweet assurance that someone would hold you in prayer until the storm passed. Thank God for those hours and those faithful ones. They were a buoy to many, and we honor them. But hear me gently. The day is passing when you can count on sending a telegram and having your burden borne by another's realization, not because help has withdrawn, but because grace is graduating you. A constant reliance upon another's spiritual capacity is, whether you mean it or not, a denial of the Christ in you. Do you hear the dignity in this? Not the rebuke. The kingdom of God is within you. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. As long as you depend on my spiritual qualities, you will not develop them within yourself. As long as you hurry to the telephone, you may never discover the inner closet whose door opens upon omnipresence. Our Master said, if I go not away, the Comforter will not come unto you. The teacher, the practitioner, the book, these must go away in this sense. They must cease being your first resort, so that the Comforter within may stand forth as your only reliance. Let us not mistake this for arrogance. It is humility. I can of mine own self do nothing. I cannot heal you. I cannot even heal a fig leaf. But the Father within me doeth the works, and the same Father within you will do the same works as you make room. This is our promise and our safety. Not your personality, not your cleverness, not your enlarged vocabulary of holy phrases. Oh, no. But the presence recognized, the silence consented to, the Christ announcing Christ. I am not telling you to reject help or to despise the hands that have steadied you. No. In the order of grace, there is milk for babes and strong meat for those of full age. There are midwives in this way, and they are precious. But the child must breathe its own breath. We are ripening from reliance to realization. If in an hour of extremity you reach for aid, do so. But reach while turning within, not instead of turning within. Let every outward hand be a signpost, not a substitute, reminding you to enter the closet and shut the door. Therefore, let us take a vow, calmly and with joy, from this moment on, never refuse a call. If the call comes at noon or at 3 a.m, if it is from a friend or a stranger, if it is for your own body or your own affairs, never refuse a call. But what do I mean by that? I mean, never refuse the invitation to turn within. Do not turn up your words. Turn into the silence. Do not grip your will. Relax into. Be still. and know that I am God. Answer without speaking. Father, here I am. I of my own self can do nothing. Announce thyself. Wait 1 minute, 3 minutes, until there is that softening without cause, that inner rightness without argument, and then rest. If action is to be taken, it will be shown. If a call is to be placed, it will be prompted. But you will not be a beggar on a line. You will be a witness to, lo, I am with you always. This is our shift of reliance, not to abandon fellowship, but to enthrone the Comforter, not to boast in self, but to bury self where presence can rise, not to outsource power indefinitely, but to discover that the power has never been elsewhere. Take this as your honor, your responsibility, and your peace. The works will be done by grace as the Father within you is silently recognized. Now we must fix this in identity, else our practice remains a technique borrowed from strangers. Who is it that answers the call when you turn within? Not a lesser self polishing itself for an interview with God. Oh no, but the very life of God announcing itself as your life. Let us put it plainly with a picture that even children can carry to the shore and understand. The wave and the ocean are one, inseparable, indivisible. The wave is not a thing, and the ocean another thing. The wave is ocean in form. The ocean is wave in essence. The wave does not run for a bucket to fetch ocean. It does not bargain with tide or plead for water. It is what the ocean is expressing. In that recognition, the wave does not strain to be safe. It rests in the immensity that cannot be threatened. Hear the Master, I and my Father are one. Hear the Apostle, in him we live and move and have our being. Hear the Father's word to the elder Son, Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine. What follows from this is our whole gospel of healing. If the wave is one with the ocean, all that the ocean is its life, its motion, its depth, is not outside the wave, to be imported by effort, but within the wave as its very being. So with you, all that the Father is, life, light, wisdom, love, the infinite sufficiency that fed Israel with manna and stilled Galilee at evening. This is not somewhere you must go to get. It is the isness of your being. Therefore, health is not a commodity to acquire. It is the quality of life being life as you. Wisdom is not a library to raid in panic. It is the mind that is God, functioning as the mind that is yours. Supply is not coins running toward an empty hand. It is the fullness of God forever pouring itself as form, wherever recognition is at home. All that the Father hath is mine, said the Christ. And if we would be Christians indeed, we must let that same mind be in us, not as a sentence to repeat, but as a fact to consent to. Do you see now why we are silent? Not because silence is pious, not because talking is sinful, but because reality is whole and present. And the only intelligent posture before wholeness is recognition, not argument. Oneness needs no defense and accepts no rival. The Father does not require you to persuade him to be Father. The ocean does not need the wave to beg for water. Our silence is not vacancy, it is consent. It is a bow of the wave to its ocean, and in that bow all turbulence finds its rightful proportion. Be still, and know that I am God, is permission to cease the frantic commerce of getting, and to let being reveal that nothing essential was ever at hazard. Try this in the instant when sense testimony shouts. A symptom flares up, a bill arrives, a relationship strains, and immediately the little wave begins to throw its spray of words and will. Stop 1 minute, 3 minutes, and remember, I and the Father are one, not as a slogan hurled at trouble, but as a home you re-enter. Close the door of argument. Enter the closet of the heart. Announce nothing. Demand nothing. Let the ocean announce itself. You may feel nothing grand. Do not look for fireworks, but you will notice that soft, causeless rightness beginning to steal upon the scene. That is grace. From that recognition, action, if any, will be obvious and simple, and you will not be the doer. I can of mine own self do nothing. The Father within me, he doeth the works of healing, of ordering, of supplying, are not the struggle of a separated self to acquire what is missing. They are the inevitable appearing of what already is when oneness is remembered. Carry the picture with you. The wave never leaves the ocean to find the ocean. It is the ocean at this place called you. Let that be your confidence, your gentleness, your authority. Then our vow, never refuse a call, becomes not bravado, but natural obedience. For you are not promising to perform, you are consenting to presence. And presence, being all that God is, cannot fail to be itself. This is why we can be quiet. This is why we can rest. This is why, when the call comes, we answer without speaking and watch as grace, needing no argument, reveals what already is. Let us now take up the posture without which none of this becomes demonstration. The Master gave it to us as the key to all his ministry. I can of mine own self do nothing. That is not a pious utterance. It is the method. The I that can do nothing is the personal fixer, the healer, hero, the manager of outcomes, the mechanic of God who hurries in with tools and timing. That I must go away. For if I go not away, the Comforter will not come unto you. Let the little architect be dismissed from the sight, that the house not made with hands may stand forth. This emptying is not a loss of dignity. It is the restoration of true identity. The wave lays down its private bravado and discovers that the ocean has been doing the moving all along. Surrender of will is the doorway. Not my plan, not my pressure, not my procedure. Father, not my will, but thine be done. No pushing outcomes, no bargaining in secret, no mental force exerted like a crowbar against the universe. We retire from engineering and we acknowledge, simply and honestly, Father within, thou doest the works. Then be still. Do not add a flourish to the signature. Do not peek under the altar cloth to see if the offering is accepted. Do not time the invisible with a wristwatch. Be still and know that I am God. If there is a movement to make, it will come as a gentle inevitability, without strain and without rehearsal, and you will find yourself saying what you did not script and doing what you did not plan. The doer will still not be you. It will be the Father made evident as you. This is the holy paradox we must normalize among ourselves. Power begins where personal will ends, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. The clenched fist cannot receive rain. The open hand is watered without effort. So with our practice, when you feel the inner compulsion to fix, to hurry, to prove stop, breathe, and let the proud little I melt back into the sea of is. Whisper if you must, but better still, silently consent. I and the Father are one. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. Wait 1 minute, 3 minutes, until the sense of burden slides off your shoulders without argument and a causeless rightness settles in. That hush is not emptiness. It is grace announcing jurisdiction. In that climate, The so-called problem loses its claimant, and what needs to be done is done by the one who knows. Thus the works appear not as results of our pressure, but as the effortless evidence that presence is present. Now let us put our surrender on its feet as a practice so simple that a child could carry it, and so deep that a lifetime will not exhaust it. We do not add a new technique. We consent to a holy order that has always been the order of spirit. 5 movements, quiet as breathing, without strain, without display. First enter, sit. Wherever you are, in a chair, on the edge of a bed, in a parked car, sit. When thou prayest, enter into thy closet. And when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret. The closet is not wooden hinges. It is the gathering of awareness from the clamor of the senses into the sanctuary within. Shut the door. That is, close the case the senses are arguing. Let a gentle breath come and go, not manipulated, just noticed, as surf comes to shore and returns. A minute, perhaps 3. The body need not be rigid. The mind need not be forced. We are only entering. Second, admit helplessness, not as defeat, but as the key that fits the only door. Quietly, inwardly acknowledge, I can of mine own self do nothing. Let it be a fact, not a performance. You are not trying to convince God. You are resigning from a post you never held. If I go not away, the Comforter will not come unto you. Let the fixer go away. Lay down the tools, even the metaphysical tools. This is holy poverty of spirit. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Third, cease words. No affirmations. No denials. No diagnoses. Nothing to push. Nothing to polish. The Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. Let the earth of opinions, forecasts, and fears keep silence. Let even sacred sentences rest as seeds, buried in good ground. We are not despising the letter. We are yielding it to spirit. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know, not be still and speak. Not be still and solve. Be still. Fourth, wait for presence. Abide, as if sitting at dawn before the horizon, not tugging the sun into the sky. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Do not measure the moment. Do not inquire whether anything is happening. Let the happening be God's. When presence announces itself, you will not need to run for a ruler. It will be known by a soft assurance, a loosening of the inner fist, a causeless rightness that does not argue to be believed. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. Sometimes it is a breath that seems to breathe you. Sometimes it is the awareness that the room has become larger without a wall moving. Sometimes it is only the absence of urgency. That is enough. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. Fifth seal, without reaching for syllables, let there be a wordless thankfulness, a bowed heart, as if you had seen a friend unexpectedly return. Do not add a flourish. Do not rehearse an outcome. Do not peek to test the invisible. Simply rise quietly. If an action is to be taken, it will be simple and obvious. Make a call. Offer a kindness. Rest. If none is given, keep your peace. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Stand still, not frozen, but free of self-will, and watch as grace does what grace alone can do. This is the whole of the silent treatment. Enter. Admit helplessness. Cease words. Wait for presence. Seal. Nothing in it strains. Everything in it consents. Practice it in the kitchen while water warms, at a stoplight, when a headline shouts, when a call for help comes at midnight. Never refuse a call. Answer it by entering your closet and shutting the door. 1 minute, 3 minutes, until that soft, sovereign rightness settles. Then rest. The works are not yours. The Father within you doeth the works. And in that holy order, healing is the effortless appearing of what already is. No words, no will, only presence. Now let us take this practice out of the chair and into the ring of daily life, where bells ring and voices tremble. From this moment on, never refuse a call. Regard each request not as an interruption to your holiness hour, not as a demand on your skill, but as a divine appointment. Here am I, send me, is not for prophets only. It is for anyone in whom Christ is stirring to be recognized. A call comes, a message, a knock, a whisper in the next room. Do not brace yourself to perform. Do not promise results as if you were the planner of providence. Kindly receive. Be simple and turn within at once. You may say, yes, and that will be enough. The treatment begins not when you have arranged your sentences, but when you have entered your closet, shut the door, and bowed to the Father within who doeth the works. Resist the mind's hunger for details. It will ask for symptoms, timelines, and photographs, as if truth required a dossier before it could be true. Oh no, we carry no pictures. We do not lug the weight of another story into the sanctuary. The Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. Let the earth of reports and forecasts be quiet. If the caller pours out their heart, listen with kindness, but within you, lay down the burden of images. We are not denying their sense of need. We are denying that images can heal. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. Stay the mind on God, not on the movie of distress. What then do we hold? Christ's recognition. Behold presence at the very place where the problem parades, not somewhere else, not later, not after conditions improve here. Lo, I am with you always is either law or it is lullaby. Let it be law. Enter the closet of the heart, and without words, without will, let the inner gaze lift beyond appearances. I can of mine own self do nothing. Say it inwardly, mean it, and then be still enough to know God. Wait 1 minute, 3 minutes, until what we have learned to call peace, the Master's own, my peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, settles like a soft mantle. You will not need a trumpet to announce it. You will know it by the loosening of the inner fist, the causeless rightness that asks for no defense. That is the treatment. Where that peace is, God has been realized. And where God is realized, the works which are God's appear of themselves. Let the work end itself. When peace arrives, do not keep arguing to hold it. Do not add a postscript of worry or a footnote of bravado. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Stand still. Do not run ahead to check outcomes as a manager might. Do not stay behind to rehearse what you did so well. If an outward act is given, make a call. Bring a kindness. Rest, do it in the same peace, without strain or self-importance. If nothing is given, keep your peace. Where 2 or 3 are gathered together in his name, there he is in the midst, not in the midst of chatter, but in the midst of recognition. Let me give you a picture you can use tonight. A neighbor calls about a child in distress. Your heart loves, yes, but your practice is the same. You receive the call gently. You promise nothing but presence. You put down the phone and you put down the pictures into the closet. Shut the door. Father, not my will, but thine be done. No words now. Wait. The room grows large without a wall moving. Breathing is rested. Peace that is not yours to manufacture spreads of itself. There, stop. The work is finished in heaven before it appears on earth. If you are moved to send a few words, I am with you, send them without embroidery. If you are moved to do nothing, do nothing. Grace is doing what grace alone can do. This is answering a call without speaking. We respond to need by turning to presence, not by turning up our words. We never refuse a call because we never undertake to be the healer. We consent to be the witness, not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. Let that be our simplicity, our confidence, and our quiet joy. And as we keep this holy order, no words, no will, only presence, we will find that calls do not burden us. They enroll us in the rhythm of God's own self-announcement, and the works appear as effortlessly as dawn. Now, because we must not be forever checking the invisible as a clerk checks a ledger, let us be clear about the signs by which grace announces itself. They are not fireworks, and they do not flatter the doer. They are gentle, unmistakable, and always of one kind. Peace arrives and ends argument. The peace of God, which passeth all understanding, does not debate its right to be there. It simply is there, and in its presence the inner courtroom adjourns. A weight lifts, not because a theory has triumphed, but because burden has no claimant. Breath eases as if respiration had remembered its source. An inward wordless proclamation arises, not shouted but sure. It is well. Do you remember the Shunammite who, though all sense testimony cried disaster, answered, it is well? That is the quality, not denial, recognition. There is also a qualitative shift that you will learn to trust. Urgency dissolves. The compulsion to hurry, to add one more sentence, to probe one more angle, melts as snow in April. Effort yields to a quiet certainty that does not need you to help it stand. The room seems larger without a wall moving. Time loosens its grip. You may find that the very questions which were insistently tapping at your mind have lost their breath and slipped down to rest. In returning in rest shall ye be saved. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. That quietness and that confidence are the signature. And mark this well. There is no performance glow. The sense of I did it is absent because there has been no I doing. If any radiance is present, it is gratitude pure, unpossessive, as if the heart were bowing of itself. I can of mine own self do nothing, the Master said. And when contact is made, you will feel the truth of that, not as a doctrine, but as relief. The space once occupied by anxiety and self-importance is quietly filled with thanksgiving. Bless the Lord, O my soul. You will not wish to talk about it. You will wish to keep silent as one keeps a holy trust. Here is our operational rule, as simple as breathing and as faithful as sunrise. When peace comes, stop. When rest returns, release. Do not prop the peace with more words. Do not rehearse the rest as if it needed your echo. Let the peace of God rule in your hearts. Let it rule and stand still. If action is required, it will unfold without strain. If nothing is given, Do nothing. The work has been finished in heaven before it appears on earth, and peace is the announcement. When peace arrives, argument ends. And having ended, the works that are God's appear not by might, not by power, but by his Spirit. Now, because we have learned to trust the sign of peace, let us take up the Master's own doctrine as practice. Take no thought for your life, but seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. For your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before ye ask him. This is not poetry to frame on a wall. It is the working law of grace. Observe the pattern. First the kingdom, then the added things. First presence realized, then provision revealed. First peace, then the works that are God's. The Master did not give us a suggestion for improved efficiency. He gave us the order of reality, the rhythm of the ocean, by which the wave is carried without strain, translated into the minutes that make a day. A need appears, an ache in the body, a figure on a bill, a decision at a crossroads, and the old reflex reaches for anxiety as if anxiety were a tool. Oh no. Pause 1 minute, 3 minutes, enter the closet, shut the door upon the clamor that says, hurry, decide, secure yourself, seek first the kingdom, which is to say, let the inner gaze rest until peace returns. When peace comes, stop. Then, if a step is needed, it will arise without argument. A call to make, an appointment to keep, a kindness to offer, a rest to receive. Which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit unto his stature? Not one. But by ceasing anxious thought, you make room for the stature of Christ to stand forth as the wisdom and sufficiency of this very hour. Consider health. No disease has authority over the Son of God. That is not bravado. It is oneness remembered. I and my Father are one. In that union, fear has no jurisdiction because it has no subject on which to fasten. There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. He shall give his angels charge over thee. We do not wrestle with symptoms. We do not thrust affirmations against tissue as if flesh were our field. We retire from managing outcomes and return to life, recognizing life. Be still 1 minute, 3 minutes, until the inner court falls silent, and my peace I give unto you rests upon the temple not made with hands. In that climate, fear evaporates, and in the absence of fear's false witness, the harmony, which is God's own order, appears as health. I am the Lord that healeth thee. The Lord within you, realized, does the works. Now supply. The wave never bargains for water. It consents to ocean. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Consider the lilies, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. This is not permission to be careless. It is instruction to be conscious. Seek first the kingdom in the very face of the invoice, the ledger, the rent, and hold still until the causeless rightness announces itself. Then you will find the added things taking form as ideas, openings, right relations, timely provision, manna enough for the day, and more when more is needed. All that the Father hath is mine, not as a boast, but as the humble recognition that source is forever pouring itself as sufficiency wherever it finds recognition. You do not pump God into lack. You behold the ocean already present at the place called you, and the forms of sufficiency arrange themselves like seashells on the incoming tide. Let this become your ongoing rhythm, as natural as breath. Presence precedes provision. Before the email is answered, The purchase made, the plan advance pause, 1 minute, 3 minutes, seek first. Let the inner court grow quiet. When peace comes, stop. Then act or do not act in that same peace, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Never refuse a call, including the call of your own need, but answer without words. Father within, thou doest the works. Thus anxious thought is dismissed from its false throne, and grace unhurried, sufficient, exact takes its rightful place. And you will discover, quietly and again, that as you cease to manage life with worry, life reveals itself as health and supply, added unto you, because the kingdom has been first. Now we must bind this to the hours, else it remain inspiration without incarnation. Discipline is love's fidelity to what it knows to be true, and we will keep our fidelity simple enough to practice and strong enough to carry us through the weather of sense. In the morning, on waking, before a word has touched the mind, before the hand has touched a device, acknowledge oneness. When I awake, I am still with thee. Sit even on the edge of the bed. Do not begin with sentences, begin with silence. Enter your closet and shut the door, which is to say, gather your awareness from the world and its headlines, and let the inner gaze rest where the wave meets the ocean until it is plain, I and the Father are one. Then, quietly, lay down the doer. I can of mine own self do nothing. Father within, thou doest the works. Wait 1 minute, 3 minutes, until peace, even the faintest whisper of it, arrives of itself. When peace comes, stop. Rise without rehearsal. Carry this hush into your breakfast and your first appointment as if you were carrying a lamp through a dark hall. Throughout the day, practice many small returns. 10 seconds of yielded awareness, often. Let thresholds remind you, doorways, phone rings, the click before you send a message, the red light that halts your way. At each sign, let the inner hand open and say nothing. Or if a whisper helps, let it be no more than, Father within, thou doest the works. 10 seconds. Sometimes 3 breaths. That is enough to deny jurisdiction to anxiety and restore jurisdiction to grace. You are not withdrawing from duty. You are returning to source, so that duty may be done by the one who knows. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. Stay the mind for 10 seconds, 10 times, 100 times. These are the stitches by which the seamless robe is woven. In the evening, close the circle with gratitude without petition. Enter into his gates with thanksgiving, and into his courts with praise. Sit quietly and let the day pass before you, not to judge it, not to improve it, but to recognize where grace carried you, where peace arrived without your managing, where supply arranged itself without your plans. Bow the heart, return all outcomes to God, loose them and let them go, and rest the mind in God alone. I will both lay me down in peace and sleep, for thou, Lord, only makest me dwell in safety. Make no blueprints for tomorrow. Take therefore no thought for the morrow. Sleep in the Comforter's arms, not in your calendar's promises. Now the promise. If you will keep this rhythm for 6 months, morning silence before words, small returns that lace the day with God, evening thanksgiving without petition, you will find you have been led to a quiet threshold I call transition. At that point, the truth you have honored begins to utter itself. You will discover that in the midst of an ordinary hour, a wordless assurance rises unbidden, that decisions are given in peace, that healings appear where once you argued, that you are being lived. The Comforter shall teach you all things and bring all things to your remembrance. You will sense sometimes in the watches of the night an inner, be of good cheer, it is I. Be not afraid, and you will know it was not summoned. It announced itself. Practice has become presence. Effort has given way to grace. But do not postpone your obedience to the far shore of 6 months. Begin tonight. They can begin healing work tonight, not because you have perfected a method. Oh no, but because willingness meets the Comforter, not perfection. Never refuse a call, including the call of your own need. If one comes this very evening, answer in your simple way. Sit, say nothing, yield the door, wait 1 minute, 3 minutes, until the soft, causeless rightness settles, and then stop. If faith, as a grain of mustard seed, can move mountains, surely 10 seconds of honest surrender can open a way in the sea. Lo, I am with you always. Let that be your courage. Keep the morning throne for God alone. Thread the day with 10-second altars. Close with thanksgiving, and set your face for 6 months of fidelity. Consistent, simple practice matures into effortless living by grace, and because grace is already here, you can begin now, because we are humanly trained to do, to fix, to make things happen. The first common pitfall is the hand that reaches for the lever. A call comes, or a pain stirs, and the old manager leaps up with plans and pressure. In that moment, be kind to yourself and employ our small corrective. Whisper inwardly, oh no, not as scold, but as surrender, and be still. Be still and know that I am God. Let the fixer step aside. Do not add an argument. Do not compose a better sentence. Do not tighten the jaw of the soul. 1 minute, 3 minutes. The humility to do nothing is the faith that makes room for the Father to do the works. Not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. If you find the mind racing to help God, smile gently at it and return to quiet. Help is not help if it hurries the Holy One. The second pitfall is the tyranny of the timetable. The calendar waves its little scepter, the clock taps its foot, and impatience masquerades as prudence. Oh no. He that believeth shall not make haste. My times are in thy hand. Life is not governed by dials and pages. It is governed by presence realized. If you discover yourself measuring the invisible with a stopwatch, has it happened yet? Has it not? Put the watch away in your heart. Pause 1 minute, 3 minutes, and re-enter the closet. Let time be baptized in eternity until urgency dissolves in that causeless rightness which needs no proof. When peace returns, you will know again, grace is never late, because grace is the life that is being lived. The third pitfall is result clutching the secret grip that tries to hold outcomes in the fist. We taste a little peace and immediately try to fasten it to a forecast. Now it must go this way. Oh no, cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. The burden is not only the fear, it is also the private script you have written for God. Loose it and let it go. Stand still. Commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established. Let the establishment be his, not yours. The work is finished in heaven before it appears on earth. Do not smudge the seal by reopening the letter. When the sense of completion arrives, stop. Do not check the invisible as a clerk checks a ledger. Hold your peace and let peace hold the outcome. The fourth pitfall is method idolatry. We discover a sweetness in the 5 movements and begin to polish them like a charm, as if steps could save, as if a formula could heal. The letter becomes our little shrine. Oh no, the letter killeth, but the spirit giveth life. Return at once to living, silence. Use the steps as a porch. Do not camp on the porch and mistake it for the temple. If, in the midst of practice, you feel it stiffening into technique, drop the handles, breathe, and let the heart bow without syllables. No words, no will, only presence. That is the altar. That is the light. Let me offer you a small picture, not for heroics, but for homeliness. As students call him, Daniel sat at his desk when a message arrived. A friend in panic. Daniel, remembering last night's glow, rushed inward to reproduce it. He counted breaths. He posed his shoulders. He tried to feel what he felt before. Nothing. More steps. More trying. His mind grew loud. Then he remembered our whisper. Oh no. He stopped. No sentences. No stopwatch. He only yielded the doer and waited 1 minute, then 2, until a soft, unsponsored rest spread like light across water. There, stop. He wrote nothing fancy, only, I am with you. Later, the friend said, something steadied me right then. Of course, presence completed what no method could. These are our course corrections. When tempted to fix, to hurry, to hold, or to idolize the method, return to silence. Let be still. Replace. Make it so. Let my times are in thy hand. Unseat the calendar's throne. Let cast thy burden upon the Lord. Open the fist of outcomes. Let the Spirit giveth life. Lift you from steps to soul. Re-anchor with our simple creed. No words. No will. Only presence. And you will find that the path that once seemed narrow is wide as ocean. And the wave is already moved by what moves all. In quietness and in confidence is your strength. And in that quiet confidence, the Father within you doeth the works. Beloved, let us now do together what each of us has been practicing alone. Let us loose and let go every private claim to health, to wealth, to success, to influence, to outcomes, the whole little kingdom with its proud banner, and place it all where it has always belonged. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. So quietly, inwardly, say with me, not as a performance, but as the truth that frees us. Here, Father, thou keep it all the health that ever seemed mine, all the supply, all the reputation, all the plans thine. Thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. We are not impoverished by this surrender. We are restored to our ocean. The wave does not hoard its splash. It consents to see. No words, no will, only presence. And now, as one household, let us be still 1 shared minute of wordless presence. When thou prayest, enter into thy closet. Together we enter. Together we shut the door upon our many narratives, our many calendars, our many merited and unmerited fears. The Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. We carry no pictures. We do not beg, and we do not bargain. We simply are before God, and God is before us. Where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst. Be still 1 minute and know, We will seal what has been given, not by our seal, but by the assurance that always follows, recognition. I will go before thee and make the crooked places straight, saith the Lord. This is our confidence. The Father within goes before us into our homes, our workplaces, our streets, our inboxes, our hospital rooms, our interviews, our kitchens, our quiet nights. The Father within goes before us, and behind us goodness and mercy follow us all the days of our life. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. We do not add a flourish. We do not tinker with the invisible. We stand still and consent to being carried. I can of mine own self do nothing. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. Let that be the seal, not our effort, but his doing. And now the commission, as simple and bold as the ocean's tide. From this moment on, never refuse a call. Regard every request, every need, every whisper of sorrow or fear as a divine appointment. Do not run for words. Go within for presence. Answer in silence. Enter your closet 1 minute, 3 minutes, yield the doer, and wait until peace, the Master's own peace, arrives unargued. When peace comes, stop. Then do what is given, or do nothing in that same peace. Live by grace. Take no thought for your life, but seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you, not by plans, not by pressure, not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. You go not as persuaders, but as beholders, not as fixers, but as witnesses, not carrying God to anyone, but recognizing God where anyone seems to be. We leave this room as one wave moved by one sea. Let your going be quiet and sure. Lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. Keep your morning throne for God alone. Lace the day with small silences. Return each evening with thanksgiving, and never refuse a call. The Father within you goes before you to make the crooked places straight. The peace of God rules in your heart, and grace already here, already sufficient, does the works. Go in this stillness. Go as this stillness, and in the hush of your steps, the Holy One will be heard.